There we go. This is meant to be a deep dive into how one person who leads a team puts their tech stack together, builds their business. There's challenges in running any organization. What's really cool is when someone's willing to be transparent about that so other people can learn from the mistakes and the wins of running a business. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. Let's dive in. Joey, before we get going, maybe you'll introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your team, the market, the size of your team, and what makes you guys unique.
Yeah. So we are a small team. In fact, I just started building the team probably about 2 years ago, and it actually kind of started as a partnership. My partner, Christian, and I both wanted to get into YouTube, and we quickly learned that we had different strengths and weaknesses. So we decided to partner up on a YouTube channel, and that led to building our team, which is Team Real Local. You guys can go check us out on YouTube if you want. It's at Real Local FL. And we service the Central Florida and the Space Coast market. So we've primarily focused on organic content. Like we've tried lots of different lead gen sources. We've done different things to generate leads, but there's nothing like working with people who find you organically, who consume your content and then reach out. So we've really leaned into that. Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to go into more in a little while on other stuff that we've done, but that's kind of been our primary bread and butter. And then the growth and expansion started happening this year when we realized we were either really good content creators and great at creating organic content that's highly engageable and converts lots of good real estate leads, but it's hard to focus on that and real estate. And so for me, I learned a lot about myself by reading a book called The Sixth Type of Working Genius, and realized that I was spending 80% of my time working in my areas of frustration. And so I realized the only way to break this cycle is to work in my areas of genius was to have agents on the team. So we're currently a team of 3. I'm still in production. Christian is still in production. Our goal is to be able to get out and just focus on generating the opportunities, building the systems. So we're kind of in that transitional growth phase right now. And obviously that's how we connected. That's how, RealScout became a really important solution for us. It's allowed us to do a lot more things and start growing to that next level.
That's awesome. How are you balancing production and content creation at this point? Like, what's the split of time?
It's tough because the goal is consistency with anything in real estate, content creation, and life. It's being consistent. And that's honestly something we've struggled with. And we've kind of found ourselves in different seasons of sprinting. And we might go through a phase where we're just hardcore content for 3 months, shooting 4 videos a week, trying to build a good video pipeline. And then you realize, you're just kind of letting your real estate business hang on. So you have to really shift focus. And that's where obviously systems and processes and technology really play a big role. In a perfect world, I'd love to say that, hey, we schedule content day every Wednesday and we film, but we do a lot of stuff out in the field as well. And there's a lot of variables that we can't control. We can't control weather. We can't control other people's schedules. And so we kind of have to adapt and pivot. But I could tell you from like a content creation standpoint, as far as like systems go, we've kind of got it broken down into a few different phases. Yeah. And you've got your research phase, your kind of scripting and planning phase, your actual filming phase, and then the post-production part. And they all sort of take, I'd say, a different part of your brain, a different mindset, a different energy. Yeah. And so I found we're the most productive when we just focus on those phases. So like right now we're in a scripting and planning phase. We've got a lot of new videos that we're trying to push out, but we're just going through all the logistics of gathering all the information, building. When I say script, I don't mean, word for word reading off a teleprompter. It's more intentional hook. Who's this video for? And then just kind of an outline to follow on the video. So we're heavy into that right now. And I think next week we're going to be kind of working into that production phase where we're actually filming the content. And then of course that'll go over into post-production.
And are you doing all of all four of those phases yourself, or you and Chris?
No, so we, and again, we've tried different things. So in
Yeah,
the beginning, yes, it was Christian and I doing everything ourselves. The first hire was an editor. We've been through a handful of editors.
yeah,
I could tell you, everyone always looks for the cheapest editor. That's not always the easiest solution. And we've got some great videos that we were able to produce for not a lot of money, but we had to spend a lot of time post production to get what we wanted. So then
yeah,
we shifted earlier in the year. We hired a local company that did the videography. They did the post production. It was great because it was a lot more turnkey, and they turned over a product, and it was more just reviewing final revisions. But the toughest thing about that was just scheduling because they have other
yeah,
clients. So we've kind of shifted back to a hybrid model now where we have another editor who's local. Um, Christian and I are doing most of the videography ourselves. Of course, if I'm
yeah.
shooting in the studio like this, it's very easy. I have the camera set up, I got the mic, the lights. You just press record. But going out in the field is a little bit more challenging. But
Yeah.
that's how we're balancing that at the moment.
And I'm okay. We're going to jump all over the place because I want to stay on threads.
Yep.
You've done paid before,
hmm
and you mentioned you're not doing that anymore. Why the transition away from paid?
Have you ever heard I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase "lady in the red dress."
Yes.
For us personally, at the time that we were running ads, it became the lady in the red dress because
Yeah.
we didn't have the back end systems in place to convert them
Yeah.
the way that we needed to optimally without spending hours of your time in the CRM following up, adding action plans, and doing these things. And of course, that pulled us away from our bread and butter, which was the content production. So for
Yeah.
us, it made the most sense to pause the ads. And the goal with paid ads in the future, in the very near future, is more of a not necessarily new lead gen approach, but more of a retargeting campaign.
Yeah.
People that we've already pixeled, that we've already interacted with, that maybe have downloaded a lead magnet from our YouTube videos or the website, and then do more of a retargeting campaign.
Yeah. As opposed to net new.
Yep.
Um, so the lady in the red dress was from The Matrix. If anyone's watched The Matrix, there's this scene where Morpheus has Neo walk down a crowded street, and he asks him if he notices anything. And there's this woman in a red dress who's a distraction. You could also call it this shiny object syndrome. It's this idea that there's something new that's going to solve all your problems, and you start diverting your attention, but then you realize, hey, you haven't focused on something else. So that's the lady in the red dress. The lead stuff is really interesting. There's this concept that you can't be good at everything. And so what's really cool is that you guys have figured out that you're good at content and you've been fairly consistent at it. Were you doing any other content before you stumbled on video?
I was doing previously back in the earlier days of the interwebs, I suppose. So just to give you some context, I got into real
Yeah.
estate in 2008,
Okay.
probably the absolute worst time ever.
Yeah, that was the end of the financial, or right at that
Yep.
financial crisis meltdown.
Yep. Don't ask me why. I thought it was a great idea. I guess I
Yeah.
thought if I could figure it out then, I could figure it out in any market.
Yeah.
Um, but at that point in time, I actually built an organic business off of a WordPress website
Okay.
with a lot of SEO. And it was very similar to kind of the YouTube path now, but the difference was there wasn't any video behind it. So people
It was all
didn't get
written.
exactly. It was all written and just
Yeah.
images. There was no video. And when I learned that YouTube is essentially a video search engine, if you
Yeah.
use it that way,
Yeah.
and it just, I kind of realized, okay, that's where I'm going to put my focus. I've never been a big social media guy,
Yeah.
but there was something about YouTube for me that resonated because it was new, it was fresh, and I knew that the people that were consuming the content were watching it because they wanted to and not because they were my friends or they felt bad for me. They were watching it
Yeah.
because they genuinely wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And we took kind of the same SEO approaches that we learned in the early days of a WordPress website and applied them to YouTube. Um,
Can you give some examples of what that, like, I understand
yep.
what it means focusing on terms that people are looking for, but can you give us an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, I'm in, the big city closest to me is Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah.
So people are searching all the time, and I never used YouTube like this until I learned about it from other people. Is you can go type in a city name and any common question and realize that there's probably content for it, and if there's not, that's like a gold mine of opportunity right there.
Yeah.
So moving to Melbourne, Florida, best new construction neighborhoods, like just common questions. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Think Media, a guy named Sean Cannell on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a
Um,
huge,
yeah,
he's been a
Sean's great.
content creator forever.
Exactly. And they have a concept called ASQ, answer specific questions, or answer simple questions.
Yeah.
So being in real estate, everybody knows that you get asked the same questions over and over in different ways. So essentially you make videos answering those questions. Now, of course, the titling of the video, the thumbnail, the overall packaging matters because you want to get the
Yeah.
click. But then of course, if you don't deliver on the promise of your packaging, people are just going to bounce. They're not going to watch the
Anyway.
video.
Yeah.
So that's the quick Cliff Notes version of how
Okay.
to SEO YouTube
Yeah.
content.
When did you start creating video content?
Consistently, probably about 2.5, 3 years ago.
And
Yeah.
what's a metric that matters to you? Is it views? Is it watch time? Is it, you know, clicks to your lead magnets? What do you measure?
I mean, at the end of the day, for us, it's generating real estate leads and converting them into closed transactions. At the end of the day, if I
Yeah.
have a video that only gets 20 views, but it generates 2 closings, like who cares, right? That's
That's
20
great.
people
Yeah.
that I'm talking to, having a conversation with. I really had the conversation once, but there's 20 people out there, so I'm saving how many hours of time?
Yeah.
So we're big on watch time, like watch hours and video duration. That tells us if our content's engaging, where people are falling off. But a lot of people get caught up in the vanity metrics of how many views, how many subs that they have. And in the world of real estate, that doesn't really matter as much. There's
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
features that unlock on YouTube with certain metrics that are great, but I mean, our channel's monetized, and we're lucky if it pays for one video a month. Like,
And when you say monetize, you mean YouTube is paying you for views and it doesn't pay you a ton. You're not going to retire off of YouTube views. It's really about generating opportunities.
100%. Not, at least not in our market. Maybe if it's one of, like if you're in LA or something and you're going to get hundreds of thousands or millions of views on a video, maybe. But in our market,
Yeah.
If we get 5,000 views on a video, we're like, hey, this is great. I think our
Yeah.
highest, I haven't even looked in a while. I think our highest video last time I checked was like 15 or 20,000 views. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I know that those videos produce conversations for us, and that's really what matters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you break down sort of what the funnel's like? Okay, so you've done some research. You talked about the 4 steps in which you put together the videos and then the post-production and getting it up. Is there always a lead magnet? What's the CTA? How do
Yeah.
people contact you? Like, what does that funnel look like?
So as we've evolved, we've gotten more intentional with actually looking at our videos as different phases of the funnel. So there's some
Okay.
videos that we're going to make, and I know it's probably going to get a lot of views that aren't going to become my clients, but the goal with those videos is like, hey, let's try to get in front of new people. So those are like
Yeah.
top funnel videos.
Okay.
And then you've got, your middle of funnel and the bottom of funnel, just like you would in any sales funnel. And the bottom of the funnel videos are very specific. You've got a very specific client avatar in mind, and your view count's probably going to be a lot lower. But when somebody watches that video and they're like, oh my God, this guy's speaking to me, he's telling me exactly what I want to know, those typically convert a lot higher. So we've got, YouTube's a little bit of a different animal because unlike Instagram or Facebook, there's no DM feature yet.
Yeah.
So you can't do, hey, DM me and keep them on platform. So as much as you would like to reduce resistance, there's really no way to keep them on platform yet. So sometimes our CTA at the end is just watch more of our videos. Or if you thought this was interesting, then you need to watch this video because I'm going to talk a lot more about that. And then we have other videos where our ask is a little bit higher. We might want you to go into the video description and download a lead magnet or click a link. But we've just learned that putting the phone number in the email, letting people know you can text or call us. This is how you reach out. Some people,
you mean in the comments, right?
Well,
or not?
Yes and no. Originally, it was just I didn't want anything baked into the video.
Yeah.
Now we've baked in the phone number because we use Follow Up Boss.
Yeah.
We have probably 10 different smart numbers that we use, which we can talk about in a little bit if you want.
Yeah.
But one of those smart numbers is just for the YouTube channel. And so we're never going to get rid of this phone number. And we've said, you know what, let's start baking it in the video. So now it shows up on the screen. It says text or call. So the people who are watching the video and they're ready, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to text.
And then you have secret. Okay, good. We'll get to that with the tech stack, but that's fantastic.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then when people call, we have that number saved in our phone. So it actually says YouTube at Real Local FL. So we know this phone call is coming in because somebody got the number off of a YouTube video. Yeah. But so to answer your question, as far as lead magnet CTA, its phone number is now baked into the video. Yeah. But in the description of the video, there's phone number. There's also an email that's only on the YouTube channel. Okay. And then we've been experimenting with a variety of different lead magnets. And we've just kind of learned, like, if you put the big ask out there, the people who are motivated will do it. Yeah. But then not having the low barrier to entry lead magnets,
freebie stuff. Yeah.
It leaves money on the table because then you're not putting those people in your retarget audience.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And the landing pages that you use for those lead magnets, what's the tooling that you use for that?
Well, if you want to get into kind of tech stack now, I can maybe give you our history of how we ended up.
And let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. So when we started this, we were using kvCORE. I think kvCORE is a great out of the box, easy to use CRM and IDX website, if you want to call it that. It was just easy to use. But the one feature they had that we found really useful was called quick links. I could go make a search in kvCORE, create a quick link. It had all the UTM codes in there, and I could put it in a YouTube video. So every YouTube video had a unique quick link with UTM codes. So if somebody decided to click on that, they registered on the website. Sometimes we got a hold of them, sometimes we didn't, but either way, they're in the CRM. We have their info.
Can I pause you there for a second? Have you used the search links for RealScout?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we don't have to talk about that yet, but we'll get to it.
That's where this is evolving to. So what happened was every video had a unique link. So when somebody would register, it would come over into Follow Up Boss. So those tags would carry, and I would actually see, oh, this link or this lead came from this video that I made. Yeah. So we knew exactly where these things were coming from. Fast forward, as Christian and I became more of a team, we needed to collaborate a lot more. And that kind of forced us to make a decision. Do we upgrade to kvCORE's team feature? And we had kind of outgrown kvCORE. We found over time the links were breaking. Sometimes they would only last 12 months. But either way, we just outgrew it. So we moved on. We went over to Follow Up Boss. And when we made that switch, we just said, hey, we're going to rebuild kvCORE, but build our own, basically. Yeah. And we probably went through 3 to 4 different other solutions before we landed on where we are now with RealScout. So to bring all this back, so now we are putting the RealScout search links in the new YouTube videos. Okay. We have not gone back and retroactively put it on all the 80 something other videos we had before we did this. Yeah. But that's kind of the new, one of the new lead magnets is every video is going to get a search link no matter what.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about your entire tech stack. You've got CRM, you've got RealScout for search links, lead nurture, HVAs, what else are you using, and how does it all work together?
Yeah. So the big three from like a consumer facing real estate perspective or industry facing, we've got Follow Up Boss, we have AgentFires who host our website, and then we use RealScout. We do have AgentFire's IDX on the front end of our site. It's
Yeah.
very user friendly. It's everything's indexable for the search engines.
Yeah,
It's
they've done
not
a
just
nice
an
job.
iframe, and it's
Yep.
very user friendly. But what we figured out was we were kind of missing the nurture part. And you know, to be totally transparent, when I first heard about RealScout, I didn't fully understand like what it was or why I needed it
Yeah.
until I had gone through other things and just said, man, nothing else is doing what I need it to do. And some other people just kept recommending RealScout. And I was like, okay, I need to look at this. So we look at RealScout now, like that's our bread and butter lead conversion and lead nurture tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are you? So I want to go into Follow Up Boss because you said you had 9 numbers. How are you using Follow Up Boss, and then how are you using RealScout?
Yeah. So, well, I guess let's talk about the numbers. So
Yeah.
we have, I'm an analytics guy. We want to know where things come from. And we've just learned over the years too, like obviously if you get a lead from Zillow, for example, your chances of converting that lead are probably higher if you know it comes from Zillow and you can reference that in the follow-up.
Yeah.
So for us, we decided, hey, let's get a smart number for any possible way someone's going to reach out. So YouTube has a smart number. The website has a smart number. We've recently added a different smart numbers to the Facebook and the Instagram profiles. So that way, when people call, it actually shows where they're coming from, or even if they text, or even if they register, quite frankly, with a lead magnet. So when we follow up, the follow up is more, hey, this is Joey from YouTube. And we're
Got it.
connecting the dots. Hey, this is
Yeah.
Joey from Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So we're trying to track, we're trying to connect the dots. Follow Up Boss makes it really easy. So when you have smart numbers, it creates an inbox.
Yeah.
So that automatically assigns where the lead is coming from. So, you know, there's no direct integration between like YouTube and Follow Up Boss.
Yeah.
But by using a smart number and a unique email, it's now a lead source. So when a lead comes in, we know, hey, this is a YouTube lead. So the smart numbers are really important because that kind of sets the stage, or let's call it the inboxes, whether it's a smart number, email, lead magnet. The inboxes are really important because for us, that sets the stage on how we're going to follow up.
Makes complete sense.
If somebody consumes a YouTube video and I'm the guy on the video, but Christian reaches out, the only brand recognition that might be there is they look at his email signature and say, I think that's the logo on that YouTube channel I watch, which doesn't really happen a lot. But if he says, hey, my name's Christian, you watched, I'm Joey's business partner, teammate for the guy from YouTube. We can embed a YouTube video in the email templates from Follow Up Boss. It just really makes the conversion a lot higher. So that's our for us, that's the most important thing that Follow Up Boss does. From there, I mean, you name it. You've got different stages. You know, we kind of have a unique system for staging people. But smart lists, you know, we're really big on behavior-based follow-up because we don't have a lot of time. Because we're a small team, we don't have time to just go through 2,000 people and just figure out who should I call, who should I text, who should I email. So we're really big on behavior. So we have probably 6 different smart lists that are kind of on our daily to-do that are all behavior-based. So when we take action on them, they disappear. So the goal is you go in there and your smart list has 4 people on it. You focus on those 4 people. You can at least know I spent that amount of time on the most important, I wouldn't say important people, but what we think are the most important people in the database.
That's great. And then on the AgentFire side, do you do anything actively to update that, add content, or that's pretty much set? You set it up and now you just sort of let that be, and it has lead capture on it, I assume.
Yeah. So the original intent, just like everything else, right, was we're going to add content to this thing every single day.
Yeah.
What we found was it's just we don't have an admin or a VA yet that's doing that for us. We're now leveraging AI to help us with that.
Yep.
But what we started doing is we're like, hey, every YouTube video needs to have a page on the website.
Okay.
So essentially, the transition that we're going through now is every YouTube video is becoming a page, a blog post, like you name it, but it's going to have a home on the website.
Yeah.
But we do rank organically in the search engines for certain search terms. We do get people that reach out through the website. AgentFire is great. I mean, you talk about customization and what you can do. It's kind of sky's the limit. But we have the Calendly link at the top if people want to book a call. So occasionally people will schedule a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just fill out a form to download a lead magnet. You name it. We've had people just call the website because they watch the YouTube videos, probably go to look us up to see if we're legit, find the website, and then they call off the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many, if you were to quantify this, how many inbounds are you getting a month?
Calls, texts, emails, or all the above?
Yeah. However you want to break it down.
YouTube's kind of cyclical. So there's going to be weeks where we're getting 3 to 4 calls a day. And then we've gone stretches where we're like, gosh, it's been 10 days and nothing's happened. And then next thing you know, it just opens up. I would say for us in the small market we're in, we probably average 40 to 60 calls or text.
That's great.
Which I know doesn't sound like a lot in the world of lead gen, but
but these guys are interested. These aren't, because I want to be very clear with someone. You could do sort of generic ads and there's no warmth to it. Like if someone's going to watch your content, there's a relationship built. It's like, you see someone on social, you see someone on YouTube. We referenced the guy who teaches YouTube strategy as if we know him. I've never met him in person, but I've watched like 5 of his videos. So I feel like I know him.
Yep.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
Well, to give you context, when we were running ads, we were doing Google PPC and Meta ads, and we were averaging like 30 to 40 leads a day. But these are just phone numbers and emails. And then that's when the hard work came in, was we got to convert these people. We got to find the gold in there. And for us, it was just, I don't want to make it sound like we're lazy, but just to be quite frankly, the organic leads were just a lot easier to convert. There was a lot less of them, but they were much further down the funnel.
Yeah. Higher quality.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go into RealScout. How are you using RealScout? You mentioned search links in all of your YouTube videos. What else are you using?
Well, believe it or not, that was what, that was the biggest thing that we lost when we left kvCORE, was the quick links. So we went to Ylopo, tried that. Great product, great company. Woman in the red dress for us, because we were trying to be here. It pulled us over here, and there was a way to build the quick links, but it was very cumbersome, and it took us probably 10 times the amount of time to get the same thing. And it was like, this isn't efficient. So we learned great product, great company. Yeah. Not the right fit for us at this time.
Yeah.
Fast forward to RealScout. We said, okay, RealScout does the quick links. And to be quite frank, like we said, okay, RealScout can nurture like kvCORE did, and we can generate quick links. To be honest, like that's why we went with RealScout. Probably the 2 reasons why no one else goes with it. But for us, it fixed that problem. Yeah. What it's evolved into is, I'd have to say RealScout and FUB are pretty much right here as far as, if we only had to have one, I'd probably just go with RealScout, to be honest. Because since we are a team, or we're evolving into a team, we collaborate with a lot of clients. And because we're so behavior-based, we needed a way to get client data and behavior into the CRM. And the MLS doesn't do that. So I could have 20 people set up on MLS search, and my other teammates could do the same thing. And I'm not seeing any of that data, and they're not seeing any of mine. Yeah. So that was very important to us. And when we learned that we can get that through RealScout with the API into Follow Up Boss, that was huge because that changed our behavior lists or our smart lists a lot by behavior. So we could
Yeah.
see property views, property saves. And so now we've really kind of, quite frankly, we don't even put clients on MLS searches anymore.
Yeah.
And I know every IDX provider tells you like, oh, it's just as good as the MLS, but I can tell you from experience, at least the ones I've used, it's maybe 40% of the MLS. If you need a very specific search, you're not getting it on IDX. You need to put them on an MLS search. So
Yeah.
when you guys said that yours did that, I was like, okay, whatever. I took it with a grain of salt. And the more we used it, the more I realized like, hey, we can get, I would say 99% of the way there on any MLS search. And the few times that we've run into roadblocks, like quite frankly, I make a Zoom video, I send it to your support team and you guys figure out how to make it work. So now it's awesome because I could tell Lori that John Smith is going to be in town. They're really interested in these properties, and she can go into Follow Boss and see all the search history and everything. And it's a seamless transition. So instead of us having to spend all this time getting them up to speed, maybe transferring MLS searches, it's all right there. So for us, like that's a big, like everything lives in RealScout now. If a lead comes into the Follow Boss and it's got a phone number and an email, it goes into RealScout.
That's awesome.
And, yep.
That's awesome. Tell me about, I want to talk about team because you're building a team. How many folks are on your team at this point?
So there's 3 of us total, including myself.
Okay.
Yep.
And the third person after you and Chris were partners and you brought someone else on, what's the process of bringing them up to speed? How does that work? What's your philosophy at this point? Because it's in many ways, you're a small team, so it's probably pretty intimate.
Yeah. I mean, it's keep it simple, stupid. You know, tech is confusing enough and time consuming enough as it is. So our goal was to make the process and make the core pieces of the tech stack as simple as possible.
Yeah.
So, you know, as we've kind of learned, there's certain things that were just second nature to Christian and I because we had such a relationship that we knew. And then we found, okay, we brought somebody new on.
Yeah.
They don't know how to use Follow Up Boss. So then it became, I don't know if you've read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
I have. Love Dan.
Probably one of the best books I've read in the past year is, you know, he's all about playbooks. So everything became about playbooks. If I do something, I hop on Zoom, do a screen recording, it goes into a Notion database we have. And even though not everyone knows how to use that database, when they have a specific question, I can just go grab that link. Hey, here's a live, you know, in the trenches training on how to do A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for us was getting Lori up to speed on kind of how we operate, how the tech stack works. She actually came from 17 years of new construction. So she had a huge database of people that was just an Excel spreadsheet. So literally our biggest goal with her was, let's get you up to speed on the basics.
Yep.
Now let's plug everything into Follow Boss. Let's plug everything into RealScout and let's start nurturing these people. And she's already generating enough of her own business where now she's only 50% of the time able to help us with our business.
Interesting.
Because we were able to plug her into these tech in the systems where she's just not going through and calling her list of 500 people that she's, you know, built over all these years.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our A/B steps. We're kind of on C now, which is like, we're trying to get it to the next level, but A was just get up to speed. Here's Follow Up Boss. Here's how to log in. Here's your smart list. Here's your layout. Every day, just go in and do A, B, C. B was, let's get these people in RealScout now that we segmented. I guess I should take a step back. RealScout, this was probably the first piece of tech that we took seriously with our implementation as far as don't just dump everybody in and stick them on auto nurture.
Yeah.
That was what we did in the past with everybody. This was more strategic. So we cleaned up our database and we focused on lists at a time. And we said, okay, these people are bottom of funnel. So we're going to have to take our time setting them up in RealScout to make sure the nurtures are relevant. And we kind of worked our way up. And then we probably had, I don't know, 800 people that we just stuck on auto nurture, set it and forget it to see what happened. So we had to take the same process with her because She was an experienced agent. She had a database, but she wasn't migrating it over from another CRM. So it was kind of a start from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And of course, going through those processes while we're learning what we need to do to make onboarding more efficient and getting someone up to speed quicker, it's taking our time away from creating content or
Yeah.
working a
And
real estate
production.
business. But we look at it, it's an investment. So we've done this once.
Yep.
We've got a better procedure now on how to do this. We've got videos recorded on how to do certain things. So now we're saving ourselves, hours of time for the next person.
Yeah. I love that. So this is, if you had to give advice on two topics, one is, I'll call it content creation in general. Let's start there. What would you tell someone who hasn't really done content creation? Because I know it's hard, right? I've done a ton of content creation in the past. I certainly work in an org where we create a lot of content. It's not for the faint of heart. What advice would you give?
Consistency is number one. And you have to get over the fact that you're not good at it. So the more just like working out or doing anything, the more reps you get in, the more you're going to learn, the more feedback you're going to get. And there's usually that like 4 to 6 week window where you do something for 4 to 6 weeks, you're not seeing results, and you're like, man, I think I should just stop. And that's what I've learned. That's always kind of that tipping point with content creation, is that's usually when you start getting attention, you're starting to get traction. And a lot of people are watching what you're doing. They're consuming your content, but they're not reaching out yet, but everybody's watching.
Yeah.
So if you're consistent, you push past that, that's when you really start seeing those wins and the gains. So I'd say, you have to commit for minimum of 6 months, because I think 90 days is when you're going to start seeing traction. But if you judge it on those 90 days, you're going to say, my ROI isn't really here yet. I'm spending all this time and I've only got a handful of leads. I've closed a few deals, but at least on the YouTube side, you got to push through. You've got to go at least 6 months. You've got to be consistent. One of the mistakes that we made was trying to do too much too soon. We got to a point where like, hey, we're going to scale to 2 videos a week, and we did it, but it wasn't sustainable. And then what happened was we burnt through our pipeline of content. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I've got to get content out. And the worst feeling is when you feel like you have an obligation to deliver something and you can't deliver it, and then you have to half-ass it, and it's not what you want. So I had to scale my expectations down and said, you know what? Be consistent, set a manageable benchmark. And, I'm a perfectionist. So for me, what I've learned is if I think something is 80% of the way there, most people think it's the best thing in the world.
That's great.
And especially when it's yourself, if you're on camera, you're critical. No one likes the way they look on camera. No one likes the way they sound on a recording, but nobody else cares. Like that's the biggest thing you have to get over.
Yeah, that's awesome. If we flip to the tech side or the tech stack side, what's your recommendation if another team came to you and said, hey, Joey, I'm looking to create a team, or I have a team. What's the most important thing I should focus on?
I'd probably flip the question back and say, where are you spending the most of your time right now?
Okay.
And if it's, we're trying to figure out who our opportunities are, or we're hammering the phones for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we need a way to identify who the most important people are.
Yeah.
And, point blank, that's usually going to come from a CRM.
Yep.
But if you don't use the CRM, or if you don't know how to use it, it's pointless.
Yeah.
You guys have, even though it's, I don't consider it a full CRM, you at least have behavior notifications in there. You can see activity. Yeah. So if I didn't have Follow Up Boss and I was just going into RealScout, I'm just scrolling through my timeline and being like, oh, so-and-so favorited a home. I should probably reach out to that person, or so-and-so is viewing these properties. So I would, I'm always you tell me the problem and then let's focus on a solution.
Let's focus on the solution.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's the next 6 months look like for you? What are you focused on?
So since Instagram released their update, I think it was in July, that their content is now indexable on search engines,
Yeah.
that has become a priority again. So right now, the priority is to keep the YouTube channel going. Um, if I had to guess, and again, I've never done this before, so if there's any other team leaders out there who've done this, then want to reach out. I'm thinking we probably need another 3 to 5 agents realistically in order to put us in a position to create the content, develop the opportunities, build the systems, do all these things.
Yeah.
So our goal is to scale up to probably another 3 to 5 team members and be able to focus 80% of my time on the
Demand
business,
gen.
the
Yeah.
opportunities. And
Yeah.
that includes now not just YouTube, but that includes several different Instagram accounts that we've created for, hyper local niche markets.
Yeah. That's awesome. Are you thinking of repurposing some of your YouTube content for those channels, or creating new content just because the speed is different?
The If you would have asked me this question 6 months ago, I would have said repurpose.
Yeah.
But I'm learning more about Instagram and how it's different from YouTube. I'm
Yeah.
also personally, I don't know what you're seeing, but I think I'm seeing a shift towards more organic and raw content. I
Yeah.
personally think the over edited, the overhyped reels, I think that's kind of gone. I think they still
Yeah.
work and they have a place, but I think the more raw and organic it gets is probably, well, that's the
Yeah.
direction we're moving in. I'll just say
Yeah.
that. I think that's
That's
kind of
right.
where things are trending. Um, we've also leaned into AI a little bit to help us with some content.
Okay.
Um, I personally think that the messaging in the meat that's in the content is what's really valuable. That's what people
Yeah.
want. So I think AI is something that if you embrace it and you're open about it and you're still authentic and it ties into your organic content, I think it works. I think
Yeah.
where the problem is the people that they try to hide behind AI and pretend like it's not AI, and I think that's where there's a consumer disconnect. So we're experimenting with a couple different things, and I don't think at this point the majority of our YouTube content will probably not be repurposed on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
But that being said, we're trying to build in intentional shorts or reels into our YouTube scripts.
Yeah.
So if I know I'm getting ready to talk about a point, it's just being intentional about framing the question so that can be clipped out and then put onto a
Yeah.
different
Yeah. Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Any before we wrap, any tools that you're using on the AI front other than like the big three, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude?
Yeah. I was not a big Chat GPT fan
Yeah.
until I upgraded. I've got several different custom GPTs that I've built
Yeah.
that have been life changing. The biggest ones, it really revolves around content. And it's not that it creates the content for us, it just shortens the timeline. Like I have a custom GPT where I can go tell it to do something and it's going to pull all the information in 30 seconds. And so instead of me spending an hour searching on the internet, I have all the information there. It gives me the sources. I tell it exactly how I want it delivered so I can go through and dissect it. So that's been huge.
Yeah.
Um, we've also everything has AI built into it now, to be honest
I
with
know.
you.
Yeah.
I've been using Notion lately, and literally yesterday I just upgraded it to get the AI because when I started it 2 years ago, the AI wasn't any good. It just
Yeah.
wasn't
It
useful.
wasn't good. Yeah.
And now
Now
I'm
it's actually
saying,
good.
I go in and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I need a database to track all my lead magnets. Here's what I need to know. I need to know which YouTube video it is, what the video code is. I need a link to the lead magnet. I need all this information. And I just told it what I needed and boom, it spit it out.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. And we've started experimenting with a video editing app called Descript. Again,
Oh, yeah.
something I
Yeah. We
tried.
love that.
Yeah, I tried it over a year ago. Thought it was mediocre, but now I can put in a Zoom call or any other recording and get a full transcript, which then I
Yeah.
could give to Chat GPT and say, hey, I need information on these 5 points we talked about on the call, and it organizes it, spits it out. And I say, okay, that's what I need now to create my next YouTube video.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Descript.
Yeah.
Great tool. I don't really use it for editing anymore, but the transcription is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the identifying individual speakers. So if we transcribe this, it plays a recording of speaker number 1, and then you put a name to it, and then it plays a recording of speaker number 2, and you put a name to it, and then it gives you this perfectly annotated transcript, which is amazing.
Exactly. And that's, and I'm going to lean into more of that for my IG account, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I've, on the conversation that you and I are having today, I have this conversation with people, I don't know, every week, just about tech we're using and different things. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start sharing all this on my IG account. There's no reason to gatekeep it. And before I got too heavy into it, I decided, I'm like, I need to simplify this. These aren't going to be highly edited videos.
Yeah.
And that's where Descript comes in, because you can cut out all the gaps, the ums, the pauses, the awkward things, and you can just take your video, spit it in there, and it gives you a nice, clean, raw recording. And just trying to save time.
Awesome.
Yep.
Joey, this has been amazing. You shared so much valuable insight on this process, your tech stack, how you create content. Where should people go to either follow you or learn more about you, your YouTube channel or Instagram, whatever you like?
Yeah, I'd say, if you want to keep up with what we're doing, the journey for us building our real estate team, go to my Instagram. That's where I'm going to start sharing everything. It's Joey Guest 2.0 on Instagram. It's just going to be raw and organic content about building the team, the tech, the AI, the automations, everything we're doing. And if you want to kind of check out what we're doing for our real estate team, just go to YouTube at Real Local FL, and that'll kind of give you guys an idea of what we're doing content wise.
That's awesome. Joey, thank you so much. And to everyone else, really excited to have you guys here. Thanks so much for joining. We're going to try and do this on a regular basis. We've got such great talent in our customer base, and they share what they're doing with us. And we figured we should share that with the world, because it's hard enough to think about, like, how do you put things together? But if you're not doing YouTube and you listen to this, you've just gotten a masterclass on how to do YouTube for local demand gen, which is amazing. If you're interested in learning more about RealScout, there's a link in the chat. You can book a demo. One of our team will walk you through everything that Joey talked about, answer any questions. If you are using RealScout and you need some support, go to support.realscout.com. You can get more support there. People will answer your questions. There should be a chat bot that pops up that can answer some questions as well. And I really, really appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.